4:30. I'll call the to order. Roll call.
Kyle,
Here.
Larry,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Mark,
Here.
Brian,
Here.
Danielle, here, Jeremy, Greg,
Here.
Jim. We have a quorum.
Yes. Okay, pledge allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good at that, huh? I have proof of publication here.
I forgot the wrong.
Anyone desiring to speak on any item or issue not on the agenda, or any item on the agenda that does not include public hearing may do so, but shall be limited to 3 minutes. Persons shall identify themselves by name and address. Persons speaking should not expect the planning commission to engage in back and forth dialogue regarding their comments. Unless an agenda item includes a public hearing, no person may speak during the business portion of the meeting, provided, however, the person speaking during the public hearing are limited between 5 and 20 minutes. The public is advised that a copy of the Open Meeting Act is located on the north wall of the council chamber. One copy of all reproducible written material to be discussed at this meeting is available for examination or copying. Number 6 here is the approval of agenda. I'm going to move item 10 on the private kennel to the first item. I would ask for approval of the agenda as changed.
I would approve.
Brian? Second?
I'll second.
Kyle? All right, the consent agenda consists of the minutes from the November 7th, 24 Planning Commission meeting. Asking if there's any additions or corrections. If not, I'll move for the motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Mark, second.
Yes.
Brian? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, we'll move right to the item 10. I'll open the public hearing. Public hearing to recommend conditional use permit, private kennel at 602 Southwest Street. As I said, I opened the public hearing. We should probably hear from the person asking for the
I don't know if
license
she's
first.
here.
She's not here?
No.
Okay, public comments, for or against? Kind of nice if she had been here.
Yeah, I kind of assumed she would be.
I thought she was gonna be because she came in and double checked with me
What's
at the
that?
meeting. I
What?
told her she needed to be here.
Well, we did, yeah, because we don't know any details.
Yeah.
I can speak on it a little bit.
Maybe she thought
Okay,
it
well,
was
why don't you start?
Okay, let me just quickly,
What she's told you.
Stretch it out.
Brian Van Bogart, building inspector. So I've got a couple sections here that I gave to you guys pertaining to our zoning code and our municipal code. So section 2-402, permit required. It kind of states the items that have to be completed for a kennel. The definition as well in section 2-402 states more than 3 dogs. So she has 6 or 7 dogs. So that's kind of where it triggers. We don't have something in our ordinances that kind of covers if you have 4 dogs or more, except the private kennel, which the definition means shall be an establishment where 3 or more dogs or cats or a combination thereof, other household pets or non-farm, non-domestic animals at least 4 years of age, excluding vicious animals, are raised, bred, and boarded. This is different than a commercial kennel. A commercial kennel allows selling as well, I've had conversations with the homeowner, part of the conditional use, we can add it in there. No selling is allowed. She's aware of this. She said she's not gonna sell from that property. So under the matrix, again, private kennels are allowed in R2 under a conditional use. So I have some suggestions for conditional use items. I talked with Jeff, the city attorney, regarding, Jeff. He's usually up there. One, an annual fee, $150, that covers my inspection, which is part of it. Number two would be an annual inspection to make sure that the dogs aren't living in squalor or that there's, a bunch of issues. Three would be if there's viable noise complaints, not viable, verifiable noise complaints. We haven't gotten a single noise complaint for this property. So if there happens to be, then that would also revoke the kennel license as well, the conditional use. If you guys have some other suggestions, I'm willing to add them to the conditional use as well. Those are just the three that I kind of put, which goes with our zoning ordinance, which states the inspection. I think it makes sense that we do an annual inspection.
Does the health department get involved?
No, so that's what we originally told her, was to go to the state, because the state gives kennel licenses. She called them and they said, you're a private kennel, we don't have anything to do with that. Because that was our original plan, was to go to the state, because they do all of that. She was told in so many words, we're not gonna inspect that. So,
Most of our conditional use permits goes with the property, but this would be just hers.
yeah, we can, I mean,
Would it just hers?
Would have to be.
yeah, we could, in
So
the,
you could pull it, yeah.
in the conditional use, we could very easily state, hey, it goes with this person, not the property itself. So, yeah,
Any questions of
Can you
Ken?
take pictures?
I can, absolutely.
I think I probably would.
Mm-hmm.
That way, each year, you can kind of see if it's getting worse or
Sure.
better. And the council, at least has, I don't think every council member's gonna go look at it, so
No,
at least you have something to show them that
right.
they can make a quick decision.
Mm-hmm.
This appears to be a rental,
Mm-hmm.
unless this lady is related to the owner.
No, I believe it's a rental.
Does the owner have anything to say about
The
this?
applicant is here now.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It is, we are related to him and he has no problem.
Okay.
Do you want to come up?
You're the applicant?
I'm
Would the
so sorry.
conditional use allow her to groom?
I don't groom anything.
We could add that in there, that it's not allowed.
Okay, no, that's what I wanted.
And actually, that's probably a spot where it's written in here, the definition is different than our zoning ordinance, because our matrix, I'm 95% sure, has pet grooming in the ordinance, and that's not allowed in residential because that's a commercial use. So even if she wanted to do that, per our matrix, our land use matrix, it's not allowed. That's a commercial use. So our definition states in there, we can 100% add that in the conditional
No, I
use.
just wanted,
Yeah.
so that there's no confusion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yep.
Now, this lady has a huge lot.
Mm-hmm.
Would we want to do something on lot size? Like if I had 6 dogs or 7 dogs on my yard, first of all, I'd be out there all the time with a shovel.
I mean, we could change the conditional use because it's tied to
The inspection.
the owner. We could theoretically maybe tie it to the owner and the property, but I could down the road change this and add something like I've been doing, which states an acreage amount or a square foot amount that would, if you guys are interested in me doing that down the road, I could add something in our zoning ordinance that would limit that. So my house,
Yeah.
it's a pretty small lot.
Based on the size of the dogs or whatever.
Right. We can tweak it. Currently, this is just going off of what we currently have in there. So, again, with the conditional use, we can add as much stuff as we want to. Size of dogs, amount of dogs, limit the amount of dogs.
Do we have a limit now in?
No,
No.
it just says 3 or more. But it should say more than 3 to match our definition above, which we changed.
I guess I don't see a big demand for this.
In the conditional use, we 100% could put a limit.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
I don't see a big demand for this. I mean, who can afford one dog, let alone more with vet and everything, you know?
Yeah, so, like I said, all the dogs are licensed, they've got all the stuff. Beth has all the rabies and all the tags and everything else, so, if you got any more questions specifically for me,
Anything more for Ruth?
okay.
Go ahead.
I just didn't know if you had, and these are my personal pets. There's nobody coming and going. We're not a commercial operation of any kind. They don't go outside very often, of course, to potty. And I have a guy that comes twice a week and cleans up the yard. I have a yard man that comes and does all of our mowing, landscaping and stuff. And then I have a guy that comes twice a week to clean up after the dogs.
How big are they? How big are they?
20, I think our biggest is 27 pounds, maybe. They're
What breed,
small.
what breed are they?
French bulldogs. Well, not all of them are French bulldogs, but several of them. We have one that's a little tiny.
How many do you have?
We have 7.
7 dogs.
I lived on an acreage before we came to town. And so it didn't even really occur to me that we were gonna need to, when we were in Omaha, we had a kennel license with the Nebraska Humane Society. And then we came out here and bought and lived on an acreage. That didn't really matter. And again, we've lived there for over 2.5 years now. Nobody's ever gotten out. We've never had anybody unhappy. Every once in a while they'll bark all at the same time. But besides that, I don't think anybody even knows that I'm there. Again, my house sits so far back and we're on 1.5 acres that I don't think that anybody would even notice. And I do have even though we have 1.5 acres, I do have a smaller fenced square that they go into potty because that's easier for the guy to come and clean everything up. But the entire property is fenced.
That could be on the conditional use permit. Having someone come clean it up. You want to go that
Are you
far?
looking for a job?
I don't, that's gonna be tough for me to verify, but
We'd see
I
the
think that's
paperwork.
Yeah, we don't want to give everyone more paperwork.
I did that for 15 years. I'm not doing it anymore.
Any other questions for me?
We got Christopher Jeannie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd ask for any comments from the people attending here for or against this particular. Frank?
Frank Borkart, 206 West Waring Street, Valley. Recent resident there, moved here 52 years ago. So, in fact, I think we're now the longest living person on Waring Street after Doc and Lori had to leave, so. Anyway,
Hang in there, Frank.
what's that?
Hang in there.
I hope. I'm not against dogs. I've had dogs all my life until the last 10 years, I guess, or 20 years. But anyway, but I do have a concern. Now, I heard the young lady say that this is not, that you're not selling dogs out of that property.
No.
I had been told previously that there had been an advertisement for dogs for sale from what you were, but that's hearsay. I'll take your word and not somebody else's. My concern is that I don't know how many dogs you can have with one permit like that, but you've got 8 or 9 now, I think.
We have 7.
7 now. And I know that it's a sizable property.
It is.
What if we wind up with multiple small kennels within the overall property and additional? I assume you're raising these they're being sold someplace.
These are my personal dogs. These are my personal dogs. In the past, we had litters. Nothing has ever been sold out of our residence. No one's ever come to our residence to look at a dog, and we are no longer doing that.
Okay? And,
And, I mean, I have an acre and a half there. I don't think you have to worry about other people doing it, because I don't think anybody else has a property like, I mean, there aren't many properties like mine with that big of a lot.
yeah, I'm well aware of the size of the lot. I live across the street from it.
My son lives a couple doors down from me.
I guess the concern I have is that we open up the gate and it's kind of like letting the camel get the nose in the tent. First thing you know, you got the whole camel inside. Did the granting, my question would be, does the granting of the permit allow an ongoing, at some point in time, future breeding and commercial enterprise?
Not residential.
No, it wouldn't be allowed due to the zoning, that's a residential zoning,
Mhm.
so it wouldn't be allowed. And we talked about it, we can also put a cap on it, so next year there's not 20 dogs. If we keep it at 7 or 10 or whatever number these guys decide, we can put a limit in there. And when I do my annual inspection, I'll do an annual inspection and the annual fee will be paid. I can verify that.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that is my biggest concern, because I don't believe we need a commercial enterprise in a residential area.
No.
I
So,
agree.
it's gonna leave it up to you and the board here to make sure that doesn't happen.
And of course, our recommendation goes to the council, whatever,
Right, yeah, I understand that.
they make the final say.
All right, thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak?
Skip a couple of points, maybe. So, yeah, I talked with Rune, we're familiar with the requirements of a conditional use permit, and I view this type of permit, you've touched on it, as personal, okay? I mean, it's to this lady and at her location, and I think it's important that after an inspection, we can come back and put more conditions on it too, and we'll make sure something like that is in there. But these permits are very personal, very case-by-case basis. There's no precedent, I don't believe, that's being set for anything else. Somebody that wants to do this again would have to come forward and make a case, for or against it. So I think it's, again, a case-by-case basis, and
Should we table this, Jeff, until after the inspection and everything?
I don't think you need to, yeah.
No,
I don't think you need to see the
Yeah.
pictures and all
Yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, if you don't-
He has everything for the council.
You won't issue it if it's not right.
My thought, Larry, was wait to see what happened tonight. In between now and council, I'll get with Jeannie, I'll set up an inspection, and then inspection will have, or council will have these 6 or 7 items, the photos, they'll have everything together. So my thought was, don't put the cart in front of the horse yet, and then I'll do an inspection in between that time period and get it taken care of.
So do we make a recommendation to approve or just leave it alone?
No, we have to vote.
We would-
Yeah, I think you make a recommendation to approve if that's what you want to do, and you include the conditions that you've discussed, okay? I think that needs to be in your motion to approve so the council can see what you're thinking. And there's nothing to say the council can't add different conditions or more conditions too when they consider it, so.
I would get pictures of every dog.
We can do that.
Have you got little suits for them to wear and stuff?
Put a number under
So
the, put a
they
number
look
under
like
the,
a little family when the picture's taken. It might help.
you want a mugshot with a number under their chin?
No mugshots.
Christmas outfits.
Yeah, Christmas.
What I can do too is I'll just read off the 7 items that I have here. So we talked about limiting the number of dogs. Again, it's 7 currently. Is that up to 10? Remember, our definition is under 4 months. Or under 4 months doesn't count as once they go past 4 months, but we could limit it to 7 to 10, kind of what your guys' thoughts are, council.
I would almost say if they're small dogs, 7's fine, but if they're big dogs, I don't think you
I
want
don't have any
7.
big dogs.
I think it's-
We're just
No,
talking
but-
about me.
But if somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
7 Great Danes is different.
That's different.
Yeah, 7.
Um,
An acre and a half would be enough.
So I'll just make a note in here, 7. 2, I just threw it in there, no grooming. We already know that, but we'll just throw it in there, which is nice about the conditional use.
No sales.
3, the annual inspection and fee requirements, $150. And then there'll be a note that'll tie to that annual inspection that this isn't a one and done. This is every year. This conditional use is revisited. 4, Jeff put it a lot nicer, but essentially, if we start getting a lot of complaints, verifiable complaints of barking and stuff like that, that's in here as well. 5, we talked to tie it to the owner / the lot size, so throw something in there for that. 6, again, just restating what's already in here, no selling of dogs at this property. And then 7, because you guys mentioned the fence, she already has a fence, but I just made a note of just maintaining the fence, making sure that there is a fence and that it's being maintained. So I don't know if you guys have any other suggestions or these 7.
Do we have to address dog size since that did?
That's something to consider, because again, I've got a 95-pound German Shepherd, that's 3.5 of her dogs. So
That'd be a part of the inspection, I would think.
that's something I'm gonna have to think about, which I'll bring to council. Maybe it's an X amount of poundage of dogs. I don't know.
I want to see all 7 of them on a scale.
So, yeah,
What's your heaviest?
I'll come up with some things. Maybe it's 7 under 30, maybe it's 5 under 50, maybe it's
Yeah, I mean,
whatever. I'll,
I have to put him on a diet after Rune comes, I'll be like, you can't weigh more than 30 pounds, Rune said. So, I mean,
Give her a margin of error.
I'll do something, that's not a terrible, because moving forward, again, but maybe I'll look and see if jurisdictions have different X amount of this size, X amount of this size, and just come up with something.
Okay, Jeff, if there's a violation of this, do we have an enforcement? Can
Well,
we
we don't
require?
order the permit, it's a year-to-year permit with the
But I
inspection.
mean, can we go in and haul the dogs off?
If she violates terms of the permit, yeah, I
They
don't,
take the dogs away.
you would have to do it as chairman.
I don't get paid.
you're gonna give me a heart attack.
Well, I mean, if there's no enforcement.
I mean, it's a violation which would trigger fines.
So if council approves it, we'll do some work on the permit and make sure that it all sounds good, so.
Any other comments from the public? All right, I'll close the, oh, one more, come on up.
Scott Helmick, 209 Waring. I have concerns, about the noise. My property borders her property, and yes, I hear the dogs, not as much this time of year, but more during the summer. I'm concerned, what if dogs get out? What solution is there to that? What happens if they were to get out and some kid going down the street gets bit or something? Because with one dog doing something, all of them will tend to. So you tend to hear all of them. She stated she, hire someone to maintain the kennel area and landscaping and such, but I have questions about that. I'm getting off topic, but I think it will apply. There's still down trees in the back of that yard from August, this August, and the storms we had that are still there. I think that's a sign that, need to be careful about making sure the area is kept clean, with the kennel and such. That's my concern.
Thank you. Anybody else have comments? All right, I close the public hearing. Discussion and questions from the planning commission members. Anything else you want to discuss? All right, I'd ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval with the
Conditional.
conditions that were discussed.
Mark, I second. Voice vote.
Kyle,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes?
Scott,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Danielle,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. They said this will go to the city council at the next meeting for their, if room's available, if room's ready.
I'll be
we'll go to
ready.
City council.
Right. Right away.
Right now, we'll go back to item number 8, discussion on adding storage, single axle, enclosed trailers to the ordinance. I knew this would happen when we started doing
I know,
trailers.
so I tell you, I try and do something as thorough as I can, and I still miss something. Oh, I might have one question. So this is discussion, this isn't official yet. I just put this together. So essentially, it's pretty simple. On the front page, we have our current, it should look pretty familiar. We went over this 6 months ago, allowing utility trailers. The conversation came up for enclosed trailers. You can see in the proposed, I added utility trailer, enclosed trailer, and then I put in a note here underneath, when used as personal storage, enclosed trailers are limited to 1 axle. This one, I did some research. You're pretty much limited to the length of your enclosed trailer based on your axles. 1 axle gets you 12 foot is the biggest I've seen for an enclosed trailer. Has to do with the weight and how much they can handle. Correct me if I'm wrong, I did as much research as I could, but
We got 3,500 pound axle.
right, so,
My question to you, Arun,
Mhm.
why can you have a tandem axle flatbed, but you can't have a tandem axle enclosed? We could limit the length if you're worried about a 24 footer or something. But I have a 14-foot tandem axle trailer, and it would be no more intrusive than this, in my mind. I mean, why are we limiting people? We're just asking for someone to come back later and want to change things.
sure. The idea behind limiting the axles was like a horse trailer, something like that, which, it's up to you guys. If we don't limit it, we don't limit it. That's
Well, we
fine.
let people with tandem campers park that by the
Mhm.
house?
The request for a single, the person just discussing this has a single axle, and that's why it came up as single axle.
And we limited utility trailers to 9,000
Yeah.
pounds.
Well, Larry said something, we were talking a little bit earlier, and he thought that a tandem would be over 10,000, and there are a lot of tandems that are not over. They make them specifically that are 9,900 pounds to stay under that.
So
You
is
have to have, I think, 8 lug wheels to get over 10,000.
the way we currently have the utility trailers is the state definition of utility trailer, which is the 9,000 limit.
Okay.
So technically, if you're over the 9,000 limit in a residential, it's not allowed for utility trailers. That was the thought behind the single axle for enclosed as well, which is up to you guys. I mean, we don't have to limit as long as they're within the impervious coverage, which is what we've discussed. If someone wants to park all their stuff in their backyard, they come and get an impervious coverage permit through me at no cost. I figure out how much space they have left of their impervious coverage. Again, stopping someone from rocking their entire backyard and putting 15 single axle enclosed trailers in their backyard. That's more up to you guys. Obviously, the HOAs police this a specific way that doesn't allow it at all or limits it severely. So this is just, the person came forward and they said, hey, I've got a single axle. So that was my limiting factor, but it's up to you guys what you want to do. I'm not married to it.
Do we get involved in aesthetics? These trailers have to, most of them look fine, they're white or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I can
They're all
add,
beat up and,
Typically, an enclosed trailer is usually in better shape than an open trailer. Open trailers get beat up pretty bad.
yeah. And so
easier to back up.
the second page is the definitions. This is just from the state statute of enclosed trailer. Also known as a cargo trailer is a device that is towed by a motor vehicle, has a roof and walls to protect the items being hauled or stored. So if you guys want to discuss single axle, again, this is just discussion. I'm going to bring it up again next month. So Greg, if you got some ideas, or if the council, or if the planning commission has some thoughts on,
Well, I think if you push through a single axle, we're gonna be having this conversation
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
soonly.
So we should do length,
So-
what weight?
Do we have any limit on like, like camping trailers? They can be a little pop-up or they can be a 40-foot long thing with a bedroom on top.
as long as you're on the side and rear yard,
Okay,
there's,
we have no limit.
the only limit is your impervious coverage. So
Okay.
I couldn't park a camper on my lot. Larry knows it. It's small. I couldn't get to my garage.
I couldn't either.
So that's kind of the limiting factor, Greg, is your impervious coverage.
Yeah, and that was part of my issue when we were talking about the non-enclosed trailers, the utility trailers, because we don't have any restrictions on what length or size or what the camper looks like.
Right.
And those are much more intrusive than a small, either enclosed or non-enclosed utility trailer, in my opinion. That's why some of this I think is strange, because, I mean, you could park your heap of junk camper and not have to have any requirements as to what it looks like, but then we're talking about all these things about an enclosed trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seems somewhat strange.
Do we have any requirement that these trailers have to be licensed?
If they're sitting, yes, because of the floodplain and our junk and nuisance ordinance. So a junk vehicle, one of the many descriptions of a junk vehicle or a junk item is something that's not, it can't be used for its intended purposes, or it's not safe for highway travel. An unlicensed trailer is not safe for highway travel, according to the sheriff or whoever pulls them over. So that captures that. Yes.
Unless it's a vehicle in tarps.
No.
Then you don't know if the plate's pure or not.
Fair. So that's, if it's lost its intended purpose, which I would argue if it doesn't have its plates, it's lost its intended purpose and now is considered a junk or nuisance item, which I've been to court before on. So all metals can come and pick it up.
All those treasures.
Right.
If you buy a parts vehicle, that's what it's intended for.
Which, if it's in an enclosed garage, no problem.
No problem.
Yep.
Or tarps.
Nope,
No.
technically not.
Really?
So I want to do the dumb old country boy question.
Sure.
Gotta have one.
HOAs could override this ordinance?
So an HOA cannot override a minimum requirement. They can add.
Be more restrictive.
They can add more, but they can't take, for example, that goes with any of our zoning ordinances or code. If our setbacks are 5 feet and Kyle says, hey, in Timber Shores, we're gonna build a house 2 feet from the property line, no, you're not. The minimum, they can just go over the minimum requirements. So,
Okay.
Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, you're right. You can make it more restrictive, but you can't
Yeah.
make it more permissive.
right,
So in Lake Development, you can use side lot for trailers and boats and stuff.
Not in Ginger Cove, we can only have.
Yeah,
two
that's,
there for like
yeah, the
a
HOA
day.
says no.
yeah. If you notice
Like,
flat
you
water.
can do it in the city, but you can't do it in.
Correct,
So
Yes.
HOA does override
Yeah.
what we say.
because it's more restrictive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you go through Blue Water, Flat Water, Timber Shores, Ginger Cove, Ginger Woods, Valley, Mallard, none of them have trailers, boats, campers. It's an aesthetic thing.
I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that.
Yeah, no, they can't come in
You
and,
mentioned those 3 letters and all.
yeah. No, they can try, but they're still gonna get a letter from me, so it wouldn't go well. Do you want me to, I can remove this, the single axle? I mean, it's up to you guys. I'm just coming up with.
If the axle requirement is removed, is there any danger of having too large of an enclosed trailer?
I mean, so this is, when we originally ran through all of this, my concern was someone rocking their entire backyard
Yeah.
and filling it up. So the way I wrote it originally was, when used for storage of any of these items, crushed rock will be counted as impervious coverage. So impervious coverage for most lots is 50%. You're only allowed to cover 50% of your lot with impervious, so your building, your driveway, your crushed rock. So that's kind of the limiting factor, Kyle, of, sure, if you've got the room to put in a 40-foot RV or horse trailer and it's in your side or backyard, and you've come to me and you've done your impervious permit, and I've reviewed your impervious percentages and you're under 50%, and you're in your side or rear yard, then go for it.
Would we be better off specifying it could be a single or dual axle, or specify a weight? Which one would prevent us from coming back here and adjusting it again?
What
Because
do
if
they
you
do?
just say it can be a dual axle, I suppose that would prevent it from being a really large trailer, because they have a limit on
Yes.
size on
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And there are tandem axles that have, what are those, 7,000-pound axles? That could be up to 14,000 pounds GVW.
Right,
There's, the 5 lugs are only 3,500, so a tandem would have 7,000. And then there's also a middle one with 6 lugs that's about, I think around 5,000, or just under 5,000.
So it's usually not bigger than a car.
No, and
20 foot.
and I was thinking about a car trailer, the minimum is a 20-foot.
yeah,
And then they make 22s and 24s. And after that are these real long race trailers that you see that
Yeah.
Yeah,
go way out there. But
those are usually triple axle. though.
yeah, those are. I would think a tandem, if we want to limit the length of it or the weight, keep it like Rune has under 9,000, that would
Yeah.
pretty much limit us to the
Single or double?
personal use ones, not something that you're gonna.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
Just
after.
thinking.
Okay.
Instead of saying the weight, if you just say it's a single or tandem axle,
Okay,
you're not gonna get too big. I mean, 14,000 pounds would be pretty big, but
yeah.
those would be more rare, I would think.
yeah.
So it probably would be fair to say 12 foot only.
And then you may have somebody wanting to park a dump trailer in their backyard, which has tandem axles and heavy-duty axles.
Hmm.
Those are, you've seen these electric ones that people use, they're getting real popular. But, that may come up someday.
Then we'll just add it.
Yeah.
I mean, that probably, a lot of that probably falls under a utility trailer.
An
They
open
don't have a big
utility trailer.
footprint,
No.
but they have a heavy suspension to carry weight.
I saw quite a few of them when I was manning the storm damage, but those are, I mean, they look like a utility trailer, they just have the option, you know, so for me.
You can haul a skid steer in those things.
Yeah,
That's how heavy they are.
yeah, they do.
So, I mean, the intent of the code really is, Mr. Construction Guy isn't storing, you know, a 30-foot trailer with 2 skid loaders on it, and, you know, at some point, that's where kind of the limiting
Right.
comes from. So, I mean, I can switch, instead of doing 1 axle, I can just switch it to 2, and just
No
take,
more than 2.
yeah,
No more than, yeah.
yeah, I can do that.
So if one rolls in with a bunch of signage on the side, does it break the sign regulations in residential?
I thought of that.
Are there sign regulations in residential? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Those are not driveway enclosed trailers.
That's a side.
In fact, the fellow over by the post office, he's got it on the side of his enclosed.
Mhm.
Yeah, which he's technically on a commercial lot.
Is he really?
That's great. A lot.
Yeah, because he asked me about adding a garage, and I said, well, technically you're commercial. Your use is residential, but it's zoned commercial.
Wow.
Yeah,
About that.
so I'll switch it to 2. Other than that, it's pretty easy, just the state definition and adding it to the 702.21. So I'll bring it again next month with that, so.
We'll be here.
I hope
All right, we'll move on to number 9, discussion.
Do we need a motion on this?
No, it's just discussion only.
Oh, okay, sorry.
This item is also discussion only. Beefcake, Bucks conditional use permit for warehouse distribution. They just had their open house here last weekend.
Yeah, I briefly talked about it with you guys. I can't confirm, but at the time when I told them that they needed conditional use, I'm sure they did. It's for retail in their zoning. I want to say there's C, whatever it happens to be, retail sales is a conditional use. All he wants to do is open up a small little shop where he can sell his stuff directly. That's his warehouse currently. Obviously, if he does that and he busts out walls and moves things, he has to get a permit. It has to be approved through my commercial design, fire marshal, all that stuff. So all of that's covered. This is him, again, just going forward on it to allow it. So, and he's in a commercial area that's,
He's straight, C3.
yes, yeah. And this is discussion too, so I'll tune up on the facts and next month have a better answer for you, but that's, in the conversations that Beth had with him that she relayed to me, he just wants to do a little retail spot, so.
Is that a paved, that's not a paved road going back in there.
Mm-mm.
That's gravel all the way from 257.
Yeah,
City's taking a lot better care of it. Because before,
Will that road handle the traffic?
minimal maintenance.
it's a good question, honestly. Yeah, it's not a bad question to consider.
I'm a little worried about the bridge. The guardrails on that bridge.
There, I heard that is the Douglas County one,
Yeah, that's.
it's gonna rebuild.
Good.
Yeah, somebody hit it.
Good.
They're redoing this, yeah, soon. Yeah, so
Good.
that'll be good. That is a question to bring up, which I will,
That's a danger point.
yeah, that gravel road is a good question about having a retail spot up on a gravel road,
Increased traffic.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
minimum maintenance forever.
Well, there's good sized vehicles, trucks going back and forth, and it can handle it, but I just wonder about the public
Right,
getting a little too far to one side or the other,
Mhm.
you got a mess.
well, and when that north lot gets developed, whenever it does, I mean, that will all be paved, but again, we don't know that until it happens, so currently it's still not.
Can that road support like 50 more signs?
Oh, trust me, I've sent letters. I've got a personal meeting with them, so. No, it cannot.
Okay, I just wondered, because I got some frontage.
No, I know. No, a letter's been sent and a permit has been denied. So we're working through the next processes of that. So,
Anything else, Ruth, coming up?
not that I can
Any
think
more
of,
lakes or any
not since the last time we talked, but
developments to do? Great,
they're popping up fast, so.
they're pumping, but they're pumping a long ways from us. It won't be our situation. Going south.
Anything new with Stillwater out here? How's Bob doing on
Phase 3 is still pending. I just did an interior footing inspection 2 days ago on the first house, and it looks like the 2 lots next to it have sold as well.
His house
The house or duplex?
or is it sold? I mean, it's someone else's building it.
Yeah, someone else's.
It's not,
Charles.
okay, it's not.
Charles Thomas is building it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so he bought 3 lots, platted them into 2, and he's putting a duplex on it.
the, nice.
Yep, so his permits are through, and,
It'll be high end, I'm guessing.
yeah, I'm not sure. The plans look nice, I mean, stone in the front, and, so.
Eagle's a big house. Anything else?
You know, we've always talked about traffic studies,
Mm-hmm.
and that intersection there is getting unbelievably bad. So I was just wondering,
Which intersection specifically?
64.
64
Dollar General.
by Dollar General.
That's state, isn't it? That's the state.
Have they denied us again?
We haven't talked to him probably for 2 years, maybe.
I mean, it took,
Mark's right, in the last 3 months, I've seen 3 people blow into that middle turn lane to go around people to turn, because there's no turn lanes to go east or west.
Boy, that's how you get.
Can we engage
And I
the
mean,
state
they're-
again?
They're scooting.
Yeah.
That is one intersection, so we got a grant for MAPPA to
Oh,
do a
that's right.
study at the intersection over by 3M. And they were just at one of our meetings last week, and they, with all, like, they have a regional safety or traffic plan and safety type things, and they have that intersection on their list of things to look at as
Look at.
well.
I mean,
Yeah.
because it took about 5 minutes just to get across so I could come to this meeting. I
Mhm.
mean, it was ridiculous because the traffic there is,
If you complain too much, it's gonna be a roundabout.
I don't care. I lived in England for 9 years. I'm used to
You
that.
I have that, you just go, people are around and around and around. Sorry, I'm not here, I was going in circles.
That's what happened to him. You're better off going the other way, Mark. Going on Richmond's Road.
So, I mean, we
That's what kids are
reach
supposed
out
to
to
do.
the state and then touch base with MAPPA, but that one is definitely on their list. Is part of their regional traffic safety plan that they're working on as well.
So what are we looking at, 2030 or?
Who knows?
Well, you know.
You won't be driving them, Mark, so it's not even.
You might be wheeling, but you won't be driving.
I'm getting to that
You'll
age.
be in the bus,
You'll be in the bus.
licking the window.
Oh, gee.
You have just taken the CL out.
What do you think? I think we need a motion to adjourn.
I think we can.
Motion to adjourn.
Greg and Kyle. All in favor? Aye. If you're not, stay here. Oh, no, you can't stay here. No, that's the home, you can't stay here.